What happens if the ancient gods, assuming their existence, decide to return to Earth? Would historians become believers even if they find an ancient spaceship? What could happen if representatives of civilization, subject to their real existence, return to Earth, which people called gods in ancient times, extraterrestrials? Now, even the gods of ancient Greece's Olympus were supposedly extraterrestrials. And also ancient gods, extraterrestrials of ancient Egypt, described in the Tully Papyrus, witnessed by the Pharaoh of Egypt, saying that the overlords of Egypt were actually extraterrestrials. So what was this? What is this happening in ancient times? What happens if ancient gods decide to return to our planet? In addition to the general shock, the goal of the named gods will play a key role in the issue because the future fate of our families will depend on this. If representatives of a highly developed civilization arrive with a good purpose, for example, to help in development, to officially make contact, or to warn against any danger, then this will be a victory for us. However, there are not many good things in the world, so let's imagine another scenario. According to some ancient myths, the gods staged their own showdowns on Earth, although they tried not to strongly involve people in them. However, if the situation repeats itself, then it will no longer be possible not to involve people. They will at least take any territory that they need, which will already entail predictable consequences, and in addition, it's difficult to imagine the consequences of repeated showdowns between highly developed civilizations. Since in some of the first countries of the world, pride will not allow so easy to allow the use of Earth as an outpost, it's possible that not the most logical attempts to attack the representatives of the gods will be undertaken. Then everything will depend on the mood and intelligence of these alien gods. At best, they will destroy all the attackers and take pity on the others, and at worst, they can arrange a reset for all humanity, leaving a couple of percent of the total population of Earth alive. But we are only talking about the average option when our planet is simply used as an outpost. What if the old gods arrive with bad intentions? For example, they will prove that they created humanity and we went the wrong way, so they decided to zero humanity and start all over again. In fact, the chances of a good outcome here are much less, since even not the worst intentions lead us to very unpleasant consequences. If these gods of antiquity do not arrive with the purest and most positive goals, then our civilization will face the greatest crisis in history. Moreover, many of you have probably heard the myth of the Great Flood in ancient times. Who knows, maybe other civilizations had already developed on Earth, but the creators did not like them and they decided to update their developments in such a cruel way. Atlantis. Now, all this can happen with the assumptions of the reality of the existence of ancient gods as a highly developed alien civilization. Therefore, you should not worry too much because so far, this version has not been fully proven as yet. However, do not forget that if we do not know something, then this does not at all prove the absence of its existence. Thus, one should not deny the existence of other advanced civilizations in the vast universe. Even if they were not ancient gods, then contact with them will be approximately similar to the descriptions above because everything depends on the goals. Historians may not alter their science-driven positions even if they find an ancient flying spaceship. We also believe that even if the ancient spaceship is discovered somewhere in the world, historians will still not change their official position regarding ancient history. When we come across articles about the existence of ancient advanced civilizations, we often come across comments about the lack of technical findings. Now, just a comment before I forget. I have a playlist on the Emerald tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean, the extraterrestrial Atlanteans. And he very clearly describes in there the tremendous technology they had, the tremendous philosophy, and he says that it was a matter of time before the divine power put an end to them because they were abusing their technology to the detriment of humans. And that's exactly what happened. But the few Atlanteans that believed that they were in the wrong left Egypt and went and made colonies in other areas of the world. The first things they built were pyramids, but he claims that he is to be credited with the Giza pyramids complex, and that he also has one of his spaceships buried under a sphinx in the Giza complex. Obviously, Egypt was not a desert at that time. It was a lush thing like Brazil is today, but something happened, and the desertification of northern Africa, Saudi Arabia, even India, they have found glass that has, according to scientists, the sand has been glassified because of some kind of a nuclear event. So one of the extraterrestrial Atlantean spacecraft supposedly hiding under a sphinx in the Giza Plateau of Egypt. Now, going back to this, we propose, he said, to present the opinion that a very ancient spacecraft was discovered somewhere in the world. What do you think? If this happens, will historians change their position? To be honest, we believe that even with this scenario, the official story will not change a bit, even despite the fact that such a find will ironically prove alternative versions of history. Historians will simply declare an accident and accept a position of complete denial of its involvement in ancient peoples. Just think about how many degrees of academic qualifications they have received, how much money has been invested in historical science, and what if everything turns out to be wrong? Now, in case you will have to look for the guilty, and no one wants such an outcome, the location of spacecraft detection will also have a great impact. Again, one other comment I have is having to do with the head of a sphinx in the area of Romania, the Duceki Sphinx, and they have found an underground complex that supposedly has holographic images of even genetic creations, a mixture of genetic creations like transhumanism, let's put it that way. That was recently found. Now, in Romania. Now, it's one thing if it's found in godforsaken taiga and another under some Egyptian pyramid on special site. A more exotic case will turn out to be if an alien ship is found under the ice of Antarctica, because that kind of situation will go beyond all imaginations. On the one hand, such an alien craft can really change the opinion of scientists about the more ancient history of the Earth, but on the other hand, in theory, it will not affect the prevailing historical versions in any way, because its age can literally be reaching several million years old. Therefore, scientists will gladly accept the find and make small changes to their versions. If an alien spaceship is found in a distant place, but they can decipher at least some of the information on board, where the date will be indicated in 1 to 40 million millennium BC, historians will not accept this. In other words, 40,000 BC. They will find an excuse, for example, it flew past and did not conduct any interaction with ancient people, things like that. The historians of the state on whose territory such an extraordinary find is discovered will especially try because, first of all, it is their fate that will depend on the explanations given by them. Just imagine if somewhere in Peru they first show a program where they pursue a version on advanced Asian civilizations being complete nonsense, and that the Indians, the natives, made buildings on their lands, and they find a hop and a flying saucer in the mountains. How do you think ordinary people will react when they find out about this? After so many broadcasts and loud statements, it turns out that not only other developed civilizations exist, but also their great age. The people's anger will fall primarily on historians, so it is beneficial for them to support their versions until the very end, until there is irrefutable evidence of their great or our opinion delusions. So therefore we reckon that even if such an incredible event as a discovery of an ancient alien spacecraft happens in the world, historians will not immediately give up and will try to get out as much as possible. And this is from Concerning Ancient Gods from Ancient History, and it's on Soul Ask. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.